It is 2024 and I am back. Ladies and gentlemen, we've had 2 months of amazing puppies, but I don't know about you, but I am ready for some furniture restorations. It's going to be an incredible year. So welcome to my channel. This is a new year, not a new me. I'm the same old me, and I'm so excited to be back with you. I have been on paternity leave. If you have not followed me on Instagram and Facebook, you have not seen all the cute Bernedoodles that we raised the last 2 months and found forever homes for. It's been so fun. I'm so excited to be back doing furniture. Let me tell you, it was a very fun winter. It's a little bit too cold out here to work during the winter, and so I'm just excited to get my hands dirty and back into this and back interacting with you. And so here is the piece that we're going to start this new year with, this gorgeous Boxy Orange Piece. Let's get started. Now, as much as I love orange, I don't love it on wood, so we are going to be painting this piece and keeping some of the wood elements. Okay, I already picked out that I want to use this. This was gifted to me by Dixie Belle, and it looks really pretty. But let's go over to my crazy shelf that carries all of my stains. Let's pick one. I think when I do my own pieces, it's the hardest part of like choosing, because clients can choose and I can make them choose so that it's their decision. But when it's mine, I just like want it to look really good at the end. Okay, this one might be awesome with peach. I also like gray stone. That would pair well with peach. Okay, there we go. Ooh, I do like that. That could be the pick. And it's water-based. Perfect. Okay, with it being water-based, you guys, that means that I can stain it and I don't have to deal with all the oil-based residue, and that means that I can wait to seal the paint until the stain's on there, and then I can spray seal it all together, because I have to paint this one by hand because of how those handles are. I don't want to tape them all up. So this is going to be great because then I can put a polyacrylic over the entire piece and the legs. That's just going to make it easier. It's good to gather your supplies before you even start so that you know what you need when you get to the hardware store. Oh, this thing is so stiff. I accidentally left it on here. That's going to be a beast to get off. I've got some high density rollers. That'll be great. I've got legs or pads for the legs after we build them. I've got the stain. I've got the seal for everything. I'm going to use Slick Stick. I've just wanted to use this for a while. This isn't that slick of a surface, but I still want to use it, and it's similar to shellac. And this is the paint. I just need my sandpapers and we'll get started. Alright, first steps first, I get my green sponge out and my cleaner degreaser, and we are going to clean this baby up. It's been in my garage for like 2 months now, and it's got a ton of dust on it, but even before that, solvents and all sorts of stuff can sit on your piece, and so it's good to give it a scrub to get all that off before we sand. Whenever you're taking the drawers out of a piece, you want to make sure that you label it. So I do a 1, 2, 3 with an R next to it, so I know that they go on the right, and then 1, 2, 3 for the left. If there's a center, just put a C, and then you'll take all the hardware off that can easily be removed. These hinges are very bulky. I don't want to paint around them. I want to make sure that the paint goes underneath them. One of the reasons why we're using Slick Stick on this is because this is fully laminate and it's really smooth. Like in the back here, the grain was just wiping off when you can see it's faded. It was just wiping off when I was cleaning it. So it's totally printed, it's laminate, but it's really good quality laminate, and so Slick Stick's gonna make sure that the paint adheres. It just creates an extra bonded surface. So here's the frame. Now, I'm going to use a polyform pad. These are linked in the description below, but basically what these are, they're super cheap. What they are is a little pad that helps you to go around curves more. I like the surf pads, but these are way cheaper. They Velcro to any sander, any orbital. And so once you get them on there, they are like really stuck. And so don't put them on until it's like until you're totally lined up with your holes. And then for this top, because I know a lot of you are gonna be like, why didn't you stain the top? Well, here's why. You can't see it from there, but I'm gonna show you. There's so many bumps. It was like somebody had something wet sitting on top of this for a while or an extended time, and the whole front of it, front half, is filled with all these knots and stuff of the wood being raised up because it got wet. So I'm gonna have to use some pretty heavy duty sanding discs, which I'm probably gonna go with 80. And hopefully we don't get too deep on the grain, but that is why we have to paint it. So I might need to be doing some Bondo repair, but we will see when we get into it. So safety first, gloves on, mask on, goggles. '80 grit did super well, but we've got to go all the way down to 60 because this is taking forever. Hi friends! Oh my goodness, I wear the full face mask and look at this line. But it protects everything. I love it. Highly recommend. Alright, I am going to show you what I'm talking about as far as like wood versus laminate goes. So a lot of people are going to be mad and they're going to be like, you painted a solid wood piece, how dare you? Well, here's the thing. Let me show you what solid wood on this piece looks like. And that's why it was raised up and bubbled, because it's actually just a really good wood veneer over particle board. Let me show you. So you can see it really well right here. So as I was sanding, a little bit got taken off there and it's sanding down so much. I mean, I did 60 grit on this whole thing. And so it was like a pretty thick veneer until I get all the way down there. And then it shows the particle board coming through. It also shows it up on the back. So you got to be really careful around edges. If I was going to stain this, this would be a problem area that would not stain very well, and it just would look different than the grain of the wood because it is particle board. When I did 60 grit on this, as you can see, this is pretty close up right now, but it just takes a lot out. And so as I have taken a lot of the green out, it's ripped a lot up, and I don't want this much green to be showing through the paint, and so I'm going to go back and fill it with some dry decks. I'm just going to do a light skim coat over the top just to fill some of these gouges, because where I really sanded deep, there's just a lot of divots. So let's get to filling. I'm using dry decks. This actually comes out pink, but then it dries to a white, and so you know when it's done. It's really great. I couldn't find my putty stick, so I'm using a paint stir, and it works great. I used 128 grit again on the top to buff all this down to make sure that it stays in the grooves, and then we've got a super smooth surface. Filled that grain right up. It's pretty now. The hardest part about this piece was the inside of the drawer. So I want to stain these, and I need to get it down to the bare wood. So I've got to use an 80 grit. I was using these contour pads, which get into grooves and all sorts of places, but for the middle part, I literally had to use my hands because my oscillating multi-tool that had sanding tips on it wouldn't even fit down in here. So it was a lot of hand work. My hands were very sore afterward. My knuckles hurt real bad, but I got it down to bare wood, and this is going to make staining so much easier, and we are going to stain the inside of this to match the base, so it's going to pair it all together. I know you're thinking that prep takes the longest. It absolutely does. The painting goes by in a flash, but the last thing I do before I paint my pieces is make sure that they're deglossed. This is TSP. You can get this at the hardware store. It's very inexpensive. This box lasts you so long. I put it into a sprayer with warm water. I wipe down my piece completely, and it deglosses the entire thing, so now I'm ready for primer. I am bundled up tonight. As you can see, my outfit. All of our water damage is gone. It has completely smoothed out. See that? That went all the way through the particle board because that's how much damage had been on the top, and that's how flat I had to make it. Now I have filled in this grain with just a tiny bit of fill just to give it some of these like deep scratches, some fill. So to make it more flat, less grainy, and to give it a very smooth surface. So now we get to prime. I wish we had snow in Charlotte because it just gets cold here. It's just cold and icy, and that's it. We like don't get snow days. We get like it's raining too hard. The roads may or may not be flooded days. Lame. Garbage bag over my really dirty like paint thing, and this is going to be my very easy slip on, slip off, dispose of paint tray. You don't want it to be like softer in areas and then thicker in areas. because you want it to be all fluid so that all the consistency is very fluid. I just primed all of that, plus the inside of that small thing, and guess what? I still have some left. And this thing, I barely poured anything out of it. So I'm gonna attempt to even salvage that because I'm frugal. Okay, so we have everything primed, and I've put 2 layers on it because the bleed through on this was pretty good. That's what you're gonna get from a lot of the darker woods or oak like this. And so even though it's veneer, like, it's still gonna bleed through. So 2 layers of primer. We are ready to paint, but I want to run to the hardware store before the freeze sets in this weekend and grab some wood. And so we're gonna go with red oak. I'm gonna measure the bottom, subtract like 1/4 of an inch, and that's what we're gonna use to build our base. 16.5 on the sides, 60 inches on the front. Legs are gonna be, this is gorgeous oak. It's gonna go so well in, this is a really heavy dresser, and so this is gonna hold it up. It's super sturdy, very dense, very thick, and it's gonna stain beautifully just like the inside of the drawers. So it's gonna stain about the same because it's oak. We can either do 8-inch or 6-inch with this one piece, so that's all we need. Good morning! Wow, it's 26 degrees outside, and I left my space heater on all night just to heat this place. I know that's very dangerous, but this is the only way I can work right now. I'm like considering getting like a mini split unit for here so I can like work year round, because this whole temperature thing with my paint in here and everything, it's hard when it freezes outside. We're gonna get started painting today and building the space and finishing this. Slick stick really dried very evenly. It's not as gritty as Benzens or shellac. It shows enough of the grain without showing too much. Remember, the top had like so many scratches and stuff in it. That will all be covered up, but it looks really good with the primer. So it's gonna be very few scuff sand. See, that's like a piece of hair. Like a 220 grit, and then we're gonna get to painting. I'm gonna put a little rubber band on it. I'm also in a Zoom meeting, so don't mind that. One of the reasons why I love Dixie Belle's paint is the consistency of it. It is so silky smooth, and I love this line of silk because it has its own sealer in it and primer. And so even if I hadn't given them the 2 coats of primer that I did, it still has a built-in primer that works really well. But I want my pieces to last years and years and years, and so I always go above and beyond, especially when I'm selling them, because it also like reflects my name, and I want to make sure that they're painted well. So I always add a primer and I add a sealer just to give it extra durability. I'm using a brush up in those corners. You want to do those first, and then you want to go over it with a roller. It's just going to tie everything together and make everything really smooth. Here's one of the issues with working in a cold garage and leaving my paint and everything in there. This stain just completely had separated. It took me a while of stirring it, warming it up, and then I had to fully strain it before I could even put it on the piece. And when I did get to put it on the piece, it was like playing the game Operation, where you have to get it fully in the lines, and if you touch the outside, like it beeps at you. Like, that's what I kept telling myself every time I touched the side. Water-based stain is just like every other stain. Once you apply it on, you're going to wipe it right back off with a shop rag. Sometimes with oil-based stains, you want to let them sit longer. Water-based stains, you can pretty much get them on and wipe them back off. The biggest thing you want to keep in mind when you are rolling is that sometimes when you begin, a lot of your paint will be on the brush. So you just want to make sure that you rub that in really well. You can rub it to different places. You can go all sorts of directions, but I do like finishing with the grain. So going this way along the dresser. The other thing you want to pay attention in mind when you're rolling is when you do a surface like this or a surface like this, when you're pressing hard like this, you can get it gooped up along the edges. So whenever you're doing an edge, it's always good to go back lightly the other way just to make sure you smooth any of that in. You can go lightly both ways. This is the base that we're working with. So at the bottom of every dresser is going to be a different configuration. So you've got to flip your piece on its back to figure out what your base needs. This base, actually, I'm surprised, it's like perfect to add a base to, except for these little things. So these little pieces need to come out. Basically, I'm just going to take a wood chisel and a hammer, and I'm just going to start to wedge them out end by end. And then we're going to add 2x4s, and we don't need to add too much weight to it, so I'm just going to put a piece here, one piece here, there, and basically the wood is going to sit here, these legs are going to sit right here, and the frame is going to go all the way across, but it's just so it gives the crag holes that we're going to put in the base a place to drill into that's secured on here, so it's not going to be wobbly, it's going to be hooked to the piece, it's not going to come off at all, so that is what we're going to do. After about 20 minutes of that nonsense, I asked the hubby for help. He said it's absolutely going to wreck the side if you continue to wedge this. So we took a jigsaw, I cut each little piece very carefully up into pieces, and then used the wedge and chiseled those out. It was a lot of painstaking work, but these were put in there really well with a ton of staples. Now that I made a mess, holy cow, that was harder than I thought. They were really stapled in there. Look at this. It was good construction. Now I'm going to cut this to size and add it to the frame. We are going to use pilot hole first. So this is my DeWalt drill bit set. These are great to have. You're going to want to pilot anything you are screwing into to just make sure that the wood doesn't split, and it just makes it so that you have a hole that's easy and it won't kick your screw back. Alright, these are GRK screws. They're multi-purpose. They've got a star head, so we got to use a star drill bit for these. Alright, hold it. Good job. See it going in? Watch your fingers. Good. I'm going to have you take your hand off. I got it. Can you take your hand off? There we go.
Illustrate this.
Ready?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, you gotta kneel down because you gotta go straighten up. You gotta kneel down. You gotta hold this directly straight. Right in there.
Right there.
Alright, now go. Slow it. Okay, that was a little fast. Okay, now we're gonna do it again. We're just gonna go a little bit slower.
Sorry.
No, you did great. I mean, it went straight in. Alright, you ready?
I can do it fast.
Okay, no, let's do it slow because we gotta start it off well. You do it? Pull the trigger. Good, nice. Good. Just sink it a little bit. A little bit more. Good. Oh, good. Go. Good job.
Kind of like a marshmallow.
It's like marshmallow.
It says hot as a fire.
Yeah.
Really? I can do it.
Come here. I want you to do it slow. I want you to sink it just to there, no further. Deal? You need to go straight across. Straight across. And your hand needs to be away from here.
Gives me like.
Yeah.
Right there?
Good. All right, now that we have our base done, we are going to double measure the front from here all the way over. Now we're going to subtract what the leg width is. So if we're going to put this here and it's going to again come in just a hair, then we're going to subtract this piece plus the piece on the other side, and that's going to be our measurement. So it's going to be in between these two. So I just held it up and measured exactly where I wanted them. So now I'm just going to measure the distance between, same thing on the front. So we ended up using our Craig, and they're about 5/8, and we were noticing that if we use the 1.5s, that they're just going to go through about that much, and we want them to go a little bit further. And so we're going to lower this back down to 1/2, so these are going to go in about this far because they're going into a block, and so it will be fine for them to go further. And we're drilling holes A and B, so they're spread out a little bit. Dumbest mistake. Always mark where you're going. So here, this is supposed to be flush. I went in the wrong side of the thing. Alright, so remember, this is the right side, so that back leg is you want this slant going towards the inside of the dresser. Back leg is there, and so I'm a visual person, so if this leg is going to be here, and I want these going up into the dresser, they have to point the same way. This is going to go here. Cool? Alright, let's do it right this time. These ones will go here, and those ones will go there. We were almost off in our measuring, but we made it. To wrap everything up, this is that huge blue can that you saw, that polyacrylic water-based sealer. I have it in satin. It's a wonderful finish. I'm putting it through my spray gun, but you can also roll this on or paint this on. I could actually just spray the entire thing, so the wood, the paint, everything. I didn't have to tape anything off, and so that's why I picked water-based for both of them. It worked out really well. I put everything back together, and here's the reveal. I think that adding a simple base such as this adds so much elegance and modernizes these old 80s looking pieces. And this piece now is ready to find a home. I staged it with some puppies for my social media, and then I actually put these photos through an AI app, and I'm going to show you them. Because of the back injury I had last year, I don't lift a lot of furniture anymore, and so I wasn't able to lift this piece off my roller, and so I pulled it out in front. I took some photos of it, and then I put them through my app, and look how gorgeous it looks. My motto for this year is work smarter, not harder. So stay tuned for lots more videos. Make sure you hit subscribe, and here's some bloopers. It's just a little dirty. The primer that I'm using is called Slick Stick. If I could get this in here. Oh, thank you. Ow! I just hit my head. There's no room in here. Okay. You really should clean these. Ready? No. Okay. Okay. We need to go slow.